West Africa can contribute substantially to feeding West Africa, but I'm also very much aware that our annual production does not meet our demand for food, hence the reliance on imported staples. But having said that, if we had better trading arrangements, then there would be the incentives for improving production and for being able to increase the volumes of our staples and contribute more effectively to our own food security. It's one of the reasons why in the Ministry of Trade here in Ghana we are working on a project we call the Ghana Commodity Exchange, where we want to provide the price discovery and trading mechanism for indeed food staples. And we want to start this with maize, rice, soya and sorghum, and see how we can build onto other products in future. The whole idea being that even for smallholder farmers, for people who have very small acreages of land, we consider them as business people, and business people act on incentives. We also have challenges at the borders with the administration of the whole process of trade facilitation. And it deals with the attitude of some of the customs officials, some of the immigration officials, the lack of uniformity of standards, the need for multiple document processing, where ideally, given the fact that we've been operating in ECOWAS for quite a while, we should have been able to have some uniformity across both Francophone and Anglophone Africa. And so I think that, yes, there is the opportunity, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done to ensure that the right incentives are created for our farmers to be able to see it as an opportunity and to step up to the plate. And I hope that this conversation generated by this conference will move us towards that much more rapidly than we've been able to progress in the past. The infrastructure in our rural areas, when you're talking about roads, when you're talking about irrigation, which is almost non-existent, when you talk about the application of proper farm management methods to be able to manage the acreages under cultivation and to ensure optimal yields, all of those things require the supporting infrastructure to make them work and to work better. There has to be a more concentrated focus and to drill right down to the level at which you expect the production and productivity to take place. Roads is roads and access to feeder roads and really improving our road network is a substantial part of the cost, goes to a substantial part of the cost of the final product. I would hope that we all spend a bit more time and effort in looking at how best to improve infrastructure. But without expanding access to infrastructure, especially the infrastructure that supports agriculture, I don't think that we're going to be able to go very far. It's about the implementation of the policy. The ideas are great. We've committed to them years ago. If we could implement half of the things that we've committed to, it would be a different world. So I don't think there's the need to rethink the whole policy framework. I think the focus has to be on implementing what we've already agreed to do. Policy implementation, project implementation, is one of our great weaknesses. Any conference is a good forum for bringing people together to have a discussion, but after the conference is over, you're really depending on people's individual interest and commitment to a certain idea or to achieving a certain objective, to continue to work together to make sure that those objectives are indeed achieved. I think that if it is a program that is driven both in terms of its conversation and its desired outcomes by the intended beneficiaries, mainly the private sector, and we can develop the structures for follow-up through and to ensure that those things that need to be done are done, then we should be in a position to have some concrete results from this conference. I think that we have to find, generally speaking, a more effective way to work between the public sector, civil society, and the private sector. And I think that if, as a result of this conference, there could be a more effective mechanism for building those partnerships to ensure follow-through, then indeed we should be able to do more than just discuss and highlight the issues, but actually in a year's time see some tangible outcomes.